What if your classroom wasn't just confined to four walls, but was actually a gateway to any place at any time? Well, that's kind of the promise behind WebQuest 3.0. And today we're going to dig in and ask, is this really the future of education? I mean, just picture this for a second. Instead of just reading about the Roman Empire in a textbook, what if you could actually walk through a virtual Roman forum? You could interact with historical figures and do your research right there on the ground, so to speak. That's the kind of mind-bending immersive experience we're talking about today. So what is this thing really? At its heart, WebQuest 3.0 is a teaching model that's all about investigation and problem solving, but it's been supercharged by Web 3.0 technology. You can think of it as this really powerful mix of cutting-edge tech and a proven way of teaching. All right, so here's the game plan. We'll start with the basics, then we'll dive into the tech engine that's making it all possible. We'll look at what this might actually feel like in a classroom, weigh the good against the bad, and then try to answer that big question. Is this where education is actually headed? Okay, first things first. It's really important to get that this didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's actually the next step in an evolution that started a long, long time ago. Believe it or not, the original WebQuest model was created way back in 1995 by an educator named Bernie Dodge, and it was all about using the early internet for student research. So what we're seeing today is a massive upgrade for our modern world, one that points toward a future where learning is way more decentralized, way more personal, and a whole lot smarter. You know, at its core, WebQuest 3.0 really stands on two main pillars. Think of it like a race car. You've got the engine, that's the technology, the Web 3.0 part, but then you also have the driver, and that's the pedagogy, the teaching method itself. It's how you put those two together that makes something really special happen. So let's pop the hood and take a look at that first pillar. What exactly is this high-tech engine that's powering the new classroom? So when we look under the hood, we find four core technologies that really make this thing go. And these aren't just buzzwords, they're the actual building blocks for a totally different kind of learning experience. Let's break them down. So how does this all fit together? Well, you've got blockchain, which acts like a super secure, unchangeable record book to verify student work and make sure you own your data. Then there's AI, which becomes this kind of personal tutor, adapting every lesson to each student's own pace and style. The metaverse, that's what creates those amazing virtual field trips we were just talking about. And NFTs, they're basically like digital trophies or one-of-a-kind certificates that prove what you've accomplished. But look, amazing tech is only half the battle. The real magic happens when it changes how we actually teach. So let's look at that other pillar, how this tech creates a brand new kind of classroom. The whole idea of students investigating and solving problems is still front and center, but now it's just amplified, big time. The focus shifts to these crucial 21st century skills, like computational thinking. And instead of just a simple Google search, students are now collaborating with kids from all over the world and diving headfirst into these incredibly rich, immersive learning scenarios. Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing in theory, right? But what does it actually look like when the bell rings? Let's get practical for a minute. Let's go back to that history lesson. So step one, your class doesn't just read about the Industrial Revolution, you actually enter a virtual simulation of it in the metaverse. Step two, you team up with classmates, you interact with virtual inventors and factory workers, and you collect data for your project. And then step three, when your team finishes its investigation, you each get an NFT, a unique, verifiable digital certificate that proves the work you did. Pretty cool, right? And this model doesn't just work for history. Imagine a science class designing an experiment that runs in an AI simulation, with all the results logged permanently on the blockchain. Or what about a language arts class, co-writing a story with an AI tool, then publishing it as an NFT to secure their own creative rights? The possibilities here are absolutely fascinating. Now, it's really easy to get swept up in all this potential, but we've got to have a reality check too. Putting this into practice is a lot harder than it sounds. So let's take a look at some of the challenges ahead. So there are four pretty big hurdles. First up, accessibility. The digital divide is a real thing, and not every student has the fancy devices or super fast internet this would require. Second, teacher training. Educators are going to need a ton of support to learn how to even design and run these lessons. Third, you've got environmental concerns, because some of these blockchain technologies use a huge amount of energy. And finally, just the complexity of it all. All this talk of blockchain and NFTs can be a real barrier for students and teachers alike. So, after weighing all this incredible potential against some very real challenges, where does that leave us? What's the big takeaway here?
When you boil it all down, the argument for WebQuest 3.0 really comes down to this powerful idea. It's all about getting students ready with the skills they will actually need for the digital world they're going to live and work in. It's not just about flashy tech, it's about being relevant and prepared for what's coming next.
Which leaves us with one final question to think about. Is the classroom of the future going to be this seamless blend of expert human guidance, just massively amplified by intelligent, decentralized technology? It's a lot to consider. Thanks for joining this explainer.